Thank you. Thanks, John. At this time, I'd like to introduce Al Clark, who has done a spectacular job of pulling the place together over the last 7 weeks. And he did it for just over $100,000, and I think...
Or one steak dinner.
Yeah, or one steak dinner, whichever comes first. Right now, I'd like to introduce Al, and he will introduce Bob Civello, who is our new general manager.
Yeah, he stole my thunder. Thank you all for your support over these last 7 weeks, and thank you for your support over the last 7 weeks and your understanding and patience. I appreciate that. It's really helped the staff and myself get through some tough times. At this point, I'd like to introduce our new general manager, Bob Civello. And Bob, you got anything to say or you'd like to say to the group? Because I'm done. Thank you so much.
I accepted the job at 9 o'clock this morning, so I didn't really prepare a long speech. Basically, I look forward to serving this community.
Hey, come use the mic. Come use the mic.
They say use the mic.
Anyway, can everybody hear me okay? Can everybody hear me okay? This is one of my first objectives, is to get this all cleared up. I look forward to serving the community. I've met the board of directors. I've been in the last few board meetings. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. At the end of the day, my objective is to increase the value of our community and also the lifestyles of everybody living here. That's going to be job number one. After that, I'm already starting to take a look at financial stewardship and how important that is to the park to, keep this thing going on the straight and narrow. So I look forward to serving everybody. What an opportunity for me, and what a challenge. So I'm looking forward to working with a lot of the excellent people I've met so far. Thank you so much, and have a good night.
I wish to point out that we had 15 candidates for the general manager's job, and we on the board were absolutely, I can't use the word stupefied, I get a lot of laughs that way. We were absolutely stunned at the incredible talent that we have available here in this park. There was not one that we saw, well, maybe one, I know he's not here, but there was only one possible person in that group that we felt could not do the job. That's how good these people were and how difficult the decision was on the part of the 7 members of the board to make this call. We feel pretty confident it's going to work out quite well for all of us. The way this will work tonight, we'll get right on with this thing, is, as I believe I said earlier, we are going to have each of the candidates take up to 5 minutes to tell you about themselves, and then, not at the time, we will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candidates, and then we'll start over again with questions from the audience. I would like to keep the questions to about 5 or 6 minutes per candidate. That way, on a very hot evening with a lot of people here, you tend to get a lot of repetition in questions, and we'll try to avoid that. I'm going to ask Mike Ratley, as I said, who is standing in for John Lausch, to come up here and lead off by hitting it out of the park. And then we'll go in order of the paperwork thing there, the list.
He should speak in order, shouldn't he?
Brian, don't get me going. I'm nervous enough up here.
He's running the show. Let him run the show.
Okay, Mike. Substituting for John Lausch, who is an incumbent on the board. Lausch. So's Ratley, for that matter.
and gentlemen, I'm reading this for John Lausch. Can you hear me?
Close to loud.
Okay, how about this? How about this? I apologize for my absence tonight. I am out of state on another matter. If any of you would like to talk to me face to face, I am regularly at meetings of the association board and can usually be found at taco night and other park events. I would be pleased to chat with you. Directors Bob McDonough and Mike Ratley can also tell you about me. I've been on the board of directors for one term. During this time, I have strived to represent the owners by holding down costs and assuring that the staff complies with the association's yearly budget. I believe in adopting a reasonable association budget and then assuring the management stays within that budget. I believe these are two of the most important contributions a director can make on behalf of the association's lot owners. At the present time, our association operates 2 restaurants, a bar, a golf course, a swimming pool, tennis courts, an outdoor recreation area, 7 lakes, a stable, several miles of trail, and 52 miles of road. Maintaining these amenities is expensive and rests on the shoulders of the lot owners. I do not believe that the association should create new and expensive amenities in the park without the support of a substantial number of lot owners. I support hiring management that will be focused on lowering the subsidies required for their departments while maintaining the service of their amenities. I was born and raised nearby in Chowchilla. I graduated from Chowchilla High, then attended Stanford University on a full tuition scholarship. After graduating from college, I volunteered for the U.S. Navy. After the Navy, I got my law degree from UC Davis. My first job as an attorney was for the California State University system. I represented San Diego State, Cal Poly Pomona, Hayward State, and Cal State Stanislaus. I also represented the statewide university computer system, which at the time was the largest computer center in the United States. Thereafter, I worked at a national law firm in Palo Alto representing such clients as Apple Computer, numerous software companies, and a major real estate developer. Later, I opened my own law practice in Newport Beach, where I represented several internet companies, several community college districts, and 2 independent movie production companies. I was also a consultant to the U.S. Congress on matters relating to computerization of the federal government. I retired from the private practice of law in 2005, and my wife and I moved to Yosemite Lakes Park in 2009. We feel like we have moved home by coming to live in the park. We attend Yosemite Lakes Community Church regularly, and last year my wife was on the board of Empty Nesters, a church support group. We are also active in the Half-Fast RV Club here in the park. I make a good director because I'm congenial and I'm skilled in dealing with people and the law. I strive to make effective use of my skill to assure that essential park work gets done and that YLOA fees remain low. To effectively represent homeowners, one must be willing to drill down on overhead costs of the park and oppose them when they appear unnecessary. While on the board, I do this graciously but firmly. My vision for the park is to work towards making it the most valuable and attractive living environment in our part of the Sierras. I would like to explore with lot owners the building of an endowment for YLP that could eventually shoulder some of the park's expenses. While a college lawyer, I established several foundations for colleges. All were successful in building endowments to help shoulder costs. This will be a long-term project, but the hike of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. I would like to take that first step. If re-elected to the board, I will continue to work towards these goals so that we can all enjoy the benefits of our wonderful park. Thank you for your support.
That puts to bed the concept that Mike can't read. Is it me or is it warm in here? Yeah. So let's move right along quickly. We'll go by the list that appears on the page here. the first person up who will have up to 5 minutes to explain her positions, and then sit down, and the next person will come up, and the next person, and then we can ask questions. The audience can say, this question is for X, or this question is for Y. The first person up will be Veronica Longcore.
Hello, my name is Veronica Longcore, and I would like to represent you on the Yosemite Lakes Owners Association Board of Directors. My family and I moved to Yosemite Lakes Park in the summer of 1998 and have loved living here ever since. We were blessed enough to purchase a home here in 2004. I'm an active member of our community who has a unique set of skills that will prove to be beneficial to our YLOA board. I'm willing to commit my time and energy into making Yosemite Lakes Park the best place it possibly can be for each and every one of us. I am currently the campus supervisor at River Gold Elementary School. I have worked with Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the Mountain Area Youth Soccer. I am currently the vice president of our local chapter of the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 110. I would like to become a board member so I can represent the entire community and their concerns to the board and its members. We are a community of very young families to retired families. I know that with my experience with working with children for over 25 years to working with groups that are predominantly retired, such as the American Legion, I am able to represent one and all equally. There are many people in this community that would like to become more involved with the activities in this community by joining committees, only to be ignored or denied. With my vast experience of volunteerism and my experience of work, I am the candidate that can make that happen. We have many challenges that face our homeowners association today. Most of these problems stem from this current board. Our association finances have been mismanaged for years with a board that has turned a blind eye to the problem. This has caused a great mistrust from the public towards this board. There has also been a great lack of communication from our boards to the dues-paying members. My goal is to restore that trust by making sure that board members making sure the members know of every board, executive, and committee meetings held and their results so that the owners of our association are aware of everything that is going on. Transparency is a great need in this association, and I will make sure this board's actions are transparent. We have great amenities in our association. They are what brought most of us into purchasing our homes here in YLP in the first place. I would like to support them and help them with their needs while making sure there is an accountability not only with the managers at each amenity, but also with this board, especially during the time of budgeting. We have committees for each of these amenities with the board members as their chairs. This board needs to be held more accountable for what happens at each amenity. We have a number of changes happening in the offices of Yosemite Lakes Park, and I am looking forward to working with the newly hired and those that have continued to work for this association, making sure that we all, employees and board members, remember that we are here to serve you, the dues-paying members of our association. I am one of the few candidates that is running for this board that is a working member of this community. This is an unusual thing for this current board to deal with, and I will tell you that this is an asset to this board. This will keep them focused on the reality that most of the families in this park are working homeowners. I will push for committee meetings to be held at times so that all working families that want to participate in the committees are able to. I will also tell you that whatever I endeavor to do, whether it be volunteer or otherwise, I always put my heart and soul into my work. My family understands the time and commitment that this will take, and I have their wholehearted support. Yosemite Lakes Park is no longer the retirement community that it started out so many years ago. We now have a committee of retired families living alongside young families. This is an absolutely wonderful asset to the place in which we live. Every generation, every person that lives here is a benefit to this place in which we live to one each other. If we can have all generations working together to make YLP a better place to live, then we will be a model community for others to see. There are many people ready, willing, and able to volunteer to make YLOA the best it can be. I would like to be the one on the board who welcomes their efforts to give of themselves for our community. Including the community is one of the many ways to create an environment of trust, transparency, and accountability. It is time to have board members that represent the entire community, from the very young to the retired. With my vast experience in work and volunteerism, I am the person who has the ability to represent every aspect of this wonderful place we call Yosemite Lakes Park. I look forward to talking to you more and my fellow homeowners and hearing suggestions on how you want to make YLP better. I'm asking you to join with me in making Yosemite Lakes Park a better community for all by giving me your votes to the YLOA Board of Directors. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Veronica. Our second candidate, who is a current member of the board, is Mr. Brian Smith. Brian?
My name is Brian Smith, and my comments tonight are my reasons for running for a position on the Board of Directors, what I bring to the task, and what I hope to accomplish while in office. I have been and continue to be available 24/7 with an allowance for going to church on Wednesday evenings and Sunday mornings. I live in Yosemite Lakes Park because of all the amenities, and honestly say I would not be here without them. This is my live-in country club, and I'm proud to be here. I chair the Food and Beverage Committee and was instrumental in the negotiations to bring David Pohl back as our executive chef. Thank you. Currently, I'm involved in restructuring our water department leadership infrastructure. The prime reason is to enhance Mr. Harrington's leadership and to strengthen his support staff and crew. After consulting with the maintenance leader concerning the plumbing in the clubhouse, which is 40-plus years old, I was instrumental in getting the GM to assess the condition of that plumbing and then to direct the necessary repairs. I acted to get the Blue Heron Lounge walk-in refrigeration refurbished. I played an integral part in arranging interviews with solar power companies, endorsing the involvement with a particular company to offer homeowners an assessment of their particular situation and the possible installation of solar power systems. This arrangement resulted in the association receiving several thousands of dollars in rewards from that company, and those monies have been applied to the drawing of plans for applications in YLP common areas. I supported then and now the issue of the legality of what we can do at the recreation center. We cannot afford free childcare, nor can we sanction any uncertified personnel or infrastructure. I spent several hours in consultation with Mr. Clark concerning the legal problems that existed then, but have now been corrected. A dog park right now has more negatives than positives. The foremost idea is getting dog owners to comply with the Madera County and the YLP leash laws by being involved with their dog's needs and picking up after them. We don't have dog police on duty, but it takes only 3 complaints from 3 different lawn owners to give the ECC a reason to react and then investigate any problems. This then is an honor policy. If you own a dog, take the honorable and responsibly appropriate approach on the subject. Yes, I have a dog. Yes, I pick up after her anytime I take her for a walk on common property. Among the benefits of retirement is time for golf. And I am a regular at our golf course and at the Fairway Cafe adjoining it. Our biggest challenge right now is recovering from issues that seem to divide us. Fact: the board uses the information it receives from staff to make policy. We were given incorrect or misleading information by staff, and as a result, we made some mistakes. We identified those problems and are on a strong course of correcting them. We want to have kudos to Carrie Stout, our new and very capable bookkeeper, for guiding us to financial stability. We have interviewed 15 candidates for general manager. We made that selection. Mr. Civello was introduced. We've made a selection and are excited about the future of Yosemite Lakes Park. As to conflicting relationships, I have none. Experience I have in abundance, plus a master's degree. For over 20 years, I was in several leadership positions in my professional organization as an educator. My wife Florence and I are involved in several activities and have developed some great and lasting friendships. By the way, none of them is illegal, immoral, or fattening. Like Charles Dickens, I have some great expectations. From management and the board, I expect honesty and transparency. From staff, I expect satisfaction in the job they're doing and the joy from doing it. From everyone else, I expect happiness and increased promotion of YLP as a great place to live. I will appreciate your vote for Brian Smith. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next speaker is an incumbent on the board, Rick Woods. Rick, take it away.
Good evening. I'm Charles Woods, but many of you know me as Rick. My wife and I own lot 1645, which has been in the family since 1977. We both enjoy living in such a diverse community with families of all ages. I have a brochure with me tonight that shows the original Yosemite Lakes Park vision was of a family community, not a retirement community. It never has been a retirement community. And this goes back to my father-in-law, who purchased 37 years ago. In February 2014, I was chosen to fill an open position on the board of directors. I would like to continue as director of YLP because I think my strong financial background has proven to be a valuable asset in wading through the difficulties we have faced since the previous bookkeeper was removed. I have served on the Finance Committee since last election and have continued even on the board in that capacity. I have spent literally hundreds of hours going over paperwork, trying to find money that cannot be accounted for. I have suggested to help implement policies, procedures, processes that will ensure in the future our finances will be handled with the proper checks and balances with full documentation. My background of 33 years in project engineering at the Boeing Company gives me the type of experience Yosemite Lakes Park needs right now. I am very familiar with reading and evaluating financial reports and making sure that work is completed within budget. My past experience helped the board here in YLP make the necessary changes in the Blue Heron restaurant and close the illegal and over-budget child care programs at the rec center. I also lobbied hard to get BPM hired to do a forensic audit and then demanded that the results be released to all the owners, because we have a right to know. This has led to multiple positive changes in the end being made on our accounts receivable and accounts payable department. Now we have processes in place that ensures our office staff is handling all payments and receipts with the proper documentation to assure accountability. Even before my time on the board, I spent many hours serving on various other committees. I have served on the environmental control, the planning, the equestrian, and the recreation trails committee. For the past 2 weeks, I've even been serving as the general manager when Al Clark took a vacation. So I was able to see in action that the office staff is more than willing that we have today. The office staff we have today is more than willing to learn the changes and procedures that we are now working together to keep the progress going. So the association will be able to work for all the homeowners. Our accounts receivable department now are able to focus more on aggressively collecting past due accounts In the future, this will be one of the most important issues that I will fully support. In the past, I don't feel the board has emphasized collections enough, and this certainly is not fair to the owners who support YLA by making their payments on time every year. Elect me to the board of directors, and I promise I'll work tirelessly to improve the situation. I have a strong conviction that all the entities that we run in YLA and decisions that may be held to the highest possible levels of ethics and legalities. Going forth, I will continue to make that a primary goal of mine. I've always been accountable to those that I've worked for and committed to positive results on their behalf. I hold master's degrees in multiple engineering subjects, as well as training in project management and in business from my MBA coursework. I have leadership training from my 26 years of service to the country and to the state as a communication engineer in the California Air National Guard. I'm also very proud of my wife, Victoria, who is active in Ladies of the Lakes and golfing, tennis, and quilting. I would be honored to continue as serving as the director for the next 2 years, being retired at this time. By the way, I do work part-time, just for the record. I can continue to daily work for you. So I ask you now, please place your trust in me for your votes so that I continue to serve your community as a director. Thanks for the support.
Our next candidate is Mr. Phil Lipner. Phil?
First of all, I want to thank the members of the board for their service. I don't always agree with you. That's why I'm running. But I have to acknowledge that I appreciate the effort you make. You volunteer your time in an effort to make the whole community better. And you probably don't get anything out of it but a lot of grief. So, I want to thank the audience for being here. I know it's hot. I know you'd probably rather be doing something else, somewhere else. But the reason I'm running is when I attended some of the meetings, I had a lot of complaints. And I realized that just complaining without offering any solutions was a waste of my time and everybody else's. So I listed some ideas on my candidate statement, and if those can be implemented, it really doesn't matter if I'm elected or if other members of the board follow that through. I think our bylaws need to be changed. Any major or any proposal for a major change in the operation of the park or the association or any expenditure not connected with the everyday operations and expenses needs to be decided by the members, not the board. We need to have a vote with a majority either accepting or rejecting it. And I think if that was implemented, it would put a lot more control in your hands on the decisions that are made and how your money is spent. It's your money. I don't think you should rely on just 4 people to make a decision on it, because that's all it takes for a majority. I know some people are a little upset about the increase in the dues and the increase in the fees for the amenities like the pool. There are a lot of reasons why we're in the financial mess that we were in, but one of them is that our dues haven't been raised. And I personally would have preferred a 2% raise over the last 5 years than a 10% raise all at once. The same percentage, but the it's not such a shock. Okay. I talked to a friend of mine that lives in an association in Santa Clarita near Magic Mountain. Her amenities are included in her dues. But the only amenity they have is a pool. And she pays close to $3,000 a year. And those dues go up periodically when there's a cost of living raise, which goes up on everything. As far as amenities, one of the reasons I moved here was for the amenities. And I enjoy them, I support them, I use them all. And if I ran the board, I would have voted for an increase in the dues. But not if we were going to go towards amenities. That's not the purpose of an association. Reviews are meant to provide your basic services, your roads, your water system, and the general health, safety, and security of all the members. Okay. I would like to see, I'm wrapping it up. I'd like to see amenities, I'd like to see upgrades in the amenities, and I'd like to see new amenities if we had the money. But we're not like the government. We can't just buy something, build something, and then worry about where the money's going to come from later. When our finances are on solid ground, then I would like to see, my vision for the park is that we get new amenities. And for the record, I think the idea behind an after-school program and a facility to have it is a good idea if we had the money and if all the legal and liability issues could be settled. But they weren't. So that's my wife's phone. Anyway, thank you for your time, and whoever's elected, keep an eye on them. Make sure they're doing the job you elected them for.
Hear, hear.
Our last candidate of the night is Mrs. Felicia Chansey. Felicia's a CPA locally and is a former board member.
Hi. Do I need this? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm not going to read my candidate statement, but I would like to give you a little bit of history on the work that I've done before I came to YLOA. Can you hear me back there? Okay. I was actually a former auditor for PricewaterhouseCoopers out of San Francisco. That's how I started my accounting life. Since then, I have been in AVP, Vice President, Chief Financial Officer for both real estate, property managers, real estate investments, hospitality. I have a lot of experience on how our financials should look. So that being said, when I was on the board last year and the year before, the term before, I kept seeing anomalies in the financial reporting, and I had issues from management not listening to my comments on what should be corrected. So, no. Why am I interested in being a director? As a board member, I could reshape the financial reporting to be relevant to the residents and the board members. As a board member, I could also bridge the gap between the people, the board, and the external auditors. I would most certainly, not allow our board to shop for an auditor. I would not allow our prior auditor back in. Okay, how do I feel about our community will benefit by me being on the board? 3 things: transparency and reporting. Homeowner communication. I will work immediately to create a live stream internet-based board and agenda meetings so you can stay home. If you need to talk, then you come in, but you will be kept abreast of everything that's going on as it goes on. This is not difficult. Minarets High can do it. We can do it. Right? Expense and cost controls. I will be focusing on the long-term fiscal health of the association. I will discourage short-term fad spending. I will keep all of our eyes on the ball, not of the few, but the many. I will always remember there is a cost involved in every decision we make. As a board member, I'm committed to making myself readily available. I am available. I am a full-time CPA in Oakhurst. I have an office in YLP in Oakhurst. I do work hard. Guess what? I have an online scheduler, oakhurstaccounting.com. Click appointment. There's a community service line. You can make an appointment and see me anytime within my hours. What would I like to do? I would like to support and improve the amenities. Do I want to do that with a blank check? No. No, I don't. I support them. I think they're important. That's why I moved here. I would like to see improvements in how they operate. When elected, I will form more action committees to create new ways to turn our amenity losses into value for our residents. You will make those decisions. My vision for the park is long-term financial health. This is my retirement home. Okay, I want to live here, and I want it to be here when I'm too old to move. So help me get this park healthy. What do I think the biggest challenges are? I'm answering the questions from the candidates questionnaire, by the way. I believe creating financial health and homeowner value is the most important thing we can do right now. Maintaining financial solvency without additional charges to the residents. For 4 straight years, our financial statements from our auditor shows we have lost about $800,000 in our operations. We need to fix that. We also need to fund our reserves. We're over $1 million underfunded. If we don't fund our reserves, there could be a bond issue. This could cost us. Some of us don't have that money. We need to get our reserves funded, okay? What expectations do I have for YLOA management? Well, something I didn't have before, transparency. I expect management to work openly, I'm talking to GM now, openly with our residents, with each other, and the board. If you do that, it'll work out. I'm sure of it. What do I expect from directors? I expect the same. I've worked closely with many of the directors, not all of them, but some of them have chosen to understand the financials better by having meetings, and I have spent a lot of time helping them and assisting them on what to look for. I expect the board to work with a CPA firm that follows the guidelines and regulations of my profession. In summary, I can't claim to be a born-again Christian. I'm just a Christian. I was born that way, sorry. This is me. I believe in ethical and honest behavior. I believe your actions speak volumes. I was shocked in 2014-15 when the budget revisions moved the dues from $809 to $925. I was shocked because I was at the budget meeting. I thought $809 was the number. This largest increase that I saw was in administrative expenses. I'm still looking into that. I fully expect, guys, that we're going to beat that budget, that with the new controls, the new work in the offices, cash controls and spending controls, that we will beat that budget, and maybe that money can go into our reserves. That's what I'm hoping. Our current treasurer's done a great job of tracking our cash balances. Mark Zoller's done a great job, but you know what? Now we need to know where our funds went. We spent it. That's the kind of thing I can do. And I've been volunteering in the YLOA office with Carrie. Carrie's inherited a general ledger in shambles. I don't know if you know that. It's in shambles. I don't believe that the people who worked here before understood what GAAP accounting was. I will continue to work with Carrie through the summer to establish proper reporting. She's already been able to establish many controls needed to once again make our association's records useful. And it is a Herculean task. So in summary, if you vote for me, I intend to throw my efforts into creating transparency in reporting and communication, controlling expenses while supporting and improving amenities. That's the big one. That's where we need your help. Creating long-term health and maintaining homeowner value. I will try immediately, once again, to set up an internal audit policy. After all the events of the past year, I believe the directors now understand why this internal audit is so important. I will bring in a strong CPA partner that follows the rules of our regulators and profession and use that firm's recommendations for improvements to our services. Thank you.
Stay there, please.
No.
Okay, we're going to do the questions from the audience. We're going to work in reverse. We'll start with the last person and work back to the first person.
Well, it's fresh.
Anyone have
Thanks.
any questions for Felicia? Neil?
I actually have a question, not for Felicia, but for you, Bob. Where is our president of the board?
He's on vacation.
He's on vacation.
Turmoil lately. It'd be nice if all the board members were present.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
I know.
Thank you.
President should be here.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Mr. Ordway.
Roger.
I have a question for all the board members. One of your first duties when you're elected in July is to elect new officers in the board. My question to each board member really requires an answer of yes, no, or maybe. Would I re-elect the current YLOA president?
Can we just raise our hands?
Do you want to start? You want to start as you were up there or no?
First of all, this is candidates night, not board members hanging night. So while I think Roger went to the great expense to ask that question, each board member, how many of them do we have here?
There's
1, 2, 3,
only 3, 4.
Will have an option to answer that or not answer it.
Are you asking a potential board member also?
If the ones that were elected, if you were elected and you have to vote that night.
Oh, if you were elected.
If I am elected to the YLOA board, I would change all of the officers currently in. He's not an officer. I'm not dumping him. Don't worry. Is this thing still on? Oh.
No, I would not. In all honesty, I would not re-elect the current officers that we have. I'd probably be changing quite a few of them. Okay, I'm Rick Woods. I just want the answer to his question. He was asking, essentially, he's trying to get to, would I re-elect the president? The answer to that is no, I would not. Straight answer, okay? Thank you.
With the possibility of a slightly unethical question, I do think that there would be merit in examining every one of the people that are elected and then determining who is going to be elected to each office after the election. She's not a board member.
If I was elected, I would like to see all of the officers change as well.
In the interest of continuity, I would not change the officers.
He's not a candidate. Okay, any other questions? We'll just walk our way back.
My concern is the park finances. I moved here in '99, and I think it was $275 for a year, and I found out that our homeowners' property tax goes to the county, which we never see, and so I figured, well, that's kind of a dumb move, but $275 is not going to hurt me. Well, now we're pushing $1,000, and I just wonder where the lid is. I mean, you're going to be running for the finance department, And I'd like to know, what will you do to try to keep the lid on the cost of the park, why they keep raising, and if this is a situation where if you have a problem, just throw more money at it, and where are you going to get the money? You're going to get it from the homeowners. And the higher the property tax go, I mean, the higher the park fees go, the more vacant houses we have. So I'd like to have you answer that question.
I think I can answer that question. I agree with you that the higher the fees go and the jobs that are lost, that we are having more vacant homes, which also reduces the revenue. I have checked the dues in my analysis since 2007. That was the first audit report I could find, and it has increased 28% since 2007. It is huge. I had to write that check out myself. What would I do? One thing, I would like to get into the amenities and get the amenity expenses controlled, make people accountable. Mike Ratley has talked about that many times, to get in and review the expenses that are currently being charged to administration and the water company. It is huge. There's a lot of allocations that are going all over that make no sense, but with Carrie being the new person in town and being able to rewrite how these things are recorded, we can figure out where the waste is. We expect our general manager will be helping us with that. I do not agree with raising the dues just because the expenses went out. That's government funding, and we are not a fund for that purpose. We are a fund for our infrastructure. Our operations need to be leaner. That's my opinion. I'm second row.
Is this a question for anybody that's running? Yeah.
Should be.
Can I sit down then? Yeah. Yes, thanks.
It's not just you.
Yes. He was going to do a few minutes with me, but it got all mixed up, so.
Go ahead.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Yes.
Do I need a mic?
No.
We can repeat the question.
Give her a mic, please.
Testing, testing.
It's stuck. It works.
Mine's dead.
Does it work? It works. My question is to Mrs. I'm Jean Green, lot number 1704. Didn't know I had an audience. Mrs. Longclaw, Lindsay Adler and you were the administrators of the Facebook site Save Yosemite Lakes Park. In early March and continuing into May, you were the chief proponents to the recall petition where you distributed and got signatures obtained to recall 7 members of the sitting board of Yosemite Lakes Owners Association. That campaign failed, and now you are running for the board of directors. If elected, you will be sitting with at least 4 and possibly 6 of the people you were trying to get recalled. Given the failure of the recall, what do you propose to do to gain respect from those 4, 5, or 6 board members? Also, from the various comments posted on the Save Yosemite Lakes Park site, how are you going to reduce your hostility and lack of respect for the sitting board?
Yes, I was part of the recall, and it actually stalled because of a homeowner that asked me to wait for the election at one of the times. Yes, it was, actually, and the member is in here in the audience. Do I have hostility? I don't have hostility towards the specific board. I'm upset over the mismanagement of this park. Do I expect this board to, if I'm elected, to treat me with respect? Yes, I do, just as I will treat them with respect. I am a professional person, and I can treat them just as professionally.
Mr. Ratley?
Ms. Longclaw, it's my understanding that there's money missing from the program that you ran. The daycare that we found a way to get rid of, It's my understanding there's a large amount of money missing from that program. I was wondering if you could account for it.
Well, honestly, I was not a part of any of the budgeting. I was an on-site manager. I never saw this budget that was out until January, at the end of January, when it was given to the committee. I was not invited. Excuse me, I'm not finished speaking. I was, as looking through this budget, I will tell you some of the money, the money that has been listed on this is not things I even knew about. One of the things that put me off of budget that wasn't informed to me is that I was supposed to get $1,300 in donations. Never, ever was that told to me. It also states that I was supposed to sell $11,000 worth of ice cream and candy from June to January, when Little League's not even in season. These are not things that I knew about. These are not things that are accurate, and these are not things that I could have done. Did I take money from the park? Absolutely not. Did I manage the budget? I did my deposits. Every deposit was managed, and it was turned into the office. I was an on-site. I ran the site that was there.
Were you responsible for the children that were there?
It was an after-school recreation program.
Nobody was responsible for the children that were there.
It was a recreation program. That's one of the things.
Was anybody responsible for the children that were there?
The parents were.
The parents left their children and brought the picnics.
Why don't you ask them? Why do you
Sir, the thing that... Okay.
Okay.
Listen, this program, by the way, is gone. This program is been shut down by this board. So at this point, that's not my focus. My focus is not about the recreation center. My focus is about making this community the better place that it can be, to involve our community, to create transparency, and to create communication. This is not about the rec center. This is not about any of that.
Okay, Veronica, thank you very much. Al Clark, would you answer the question, is that why you're working your way up this way to... Well, my comment was about the money. It was not missing, it's not missing from a program. It is money that was allocated and spent at the rec center, and we have no idea what it was spent on. That's what we're doing the audit about. Yeah, let's get back to the candidates, which is right.
I'll say this on John's behalf because John asked me to say something about it. There's $57,022 that was allocated to the rec center.
Closer.
There's $57,022 that was spent at the rec center with no receipts, no invoices, and the people in charge were Kathy Casey, Michael Nabeau, and the person in charge of the rec center, Veronica Longcore. Now, I'm not saying that any of them are thieves. I'm saying that $57,022 is unaccounted for. If it came out of your checking account, it would be accounted for.
Let's listen to the man that did all the work. How unique.
Mike said it correctly. That's the way it is. The money didn't necessarily get stolen. We just don't know what it got spent on. We can't account for it. I don't carry any hostilities, Veronica, but I will tell you that your Facebook site, I was just informed of today, has sort of honored me in that the people in that communication that has such high integrity has accused me of sexually harassing our Shelley up there. Now, I got to tell you, I'm getting a little fed up with your Facebook sites that now sit down a minute. I understand that it's an open communications, but it's your friends that have liked you. Now, let me tell you this. The problem is, my wife thinks you've woken a sleeping giant, and I'm going to disappoint her.
John?
Excuse me, may I respond to that? May I respond to that? That site was created by a community member, not by myself. Do I post on it? Absolutely.
You can talk to me about it.
I was going to say, can we just stay focused?
Yes, yes, that was my point here. This is candidates night. I appreciate your interest. You can get a hold of any board member you want at any time, and we'll try and answer any of the questions that don't pertain to the candidates. John, do you have a question that pertains to the candidates? Hi, John.
I'd like to ask one question. We are paying taxes to the town of Madera. We do not get not one penny back in our park. We have paid over $1,400 property tax. Not one penny is coming back in this park. Is there any way that we can get money back, some of the money, retrieve some of the tax money that we pay? That's only what I have to say.
In the prior association where I lived, we had private roads, and we were able to get the county money for road repairs, but you have to go through some hoops to get there, so it's something we should look into.
Well, let's think about what if there were no sheriff, if there were no roads leading into the park, we were just a little island, then we might have an argument. But I don't see any specific way that we can get money back from Madera County. You can get services, but I don't know offhand what they are. Yes, Roger, you had a question. Oh, this gentleman. Somebody.
Yes, my name's Steve Brannon, lot 487. And my question is to all the candidates. In the budget that was just adopted, there's a 10% annual assessment that's been written off to the tune of $196,000. And that is basically people in the park that haven't paid their assessment fees. And when I would go into the board meetings, and Felicia brought this up, $800,000. We have $500,000 that haven't been paid by, basically, I will call them deadbeat homeowners. What are your solutions to rectify this? All the board members.
I'm going to start out first. I actually had this in my speech. Maybe I went through it too fast. I absolutely believe in...
He is.
I am. Thank you, Bob, for that unnecessary comment. No, seriously, you're absolutely correct. That is something I am very, very concerned over. And what I found just in the few months I've been on the board, and now I've been working closer to the accounts receivables, one of the things I worked at, I found out before the previous, literally, office manager was using accounts receivable for all kind of things other than collections. And that's one of the things I worked real hard to get them into county money like they should have been. And then the next issue is actually doing the receivables, meaning the collections. And if you elect me, I intend to make that one of my prime issues. I think Mr. Ratley is also concerned about that. And you're right, there's too much money on the table, and we need to work off that. And, you know, I noticed one of the other candidates was talking about things we'd like to do. Well, if you leave that much money on the table, it's hard to get anything accomplished. So I certainly believe in that.
We got almost $500,000 that people, some of them are multiple lot owners, and haven't been paid in 7-8 years. So we have avoided, not me, because I've been on the board for 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, whatever. But the board has avoided foreclosing on these properties. It will no longer be avoided.
Wait, I asked all board members, not just one that was up for election.
Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Foreclosure is a long process and it's expensive. But filing small claims court actions is relatively fast, and there are other forms that can be filed once a judgment's received. If a person's working, their salary can be attached. If they have any bank accounts.
No, we can't. No, we can't do that. We can't do that. I'm just trying to tell you, Phil.
Okay, well, according to what I read in the Davis-Sterling Act, we can do it.
Can I answer the question?
Okay.
I'm sorry to get back up here again. The reason I'm up here again, I took Al's place when he was on vacation, and I spent a little bit of time talking to Thora, which is an expert in this area. I'm not a banking expert, and she's very, very good. Some of these people, when they extend out, she turns them over to a company called Cimarron. Once she turns them over there, like 2 months later, you can foreclose. And there's a process that they actually send out, and literally they take the house over, and then they actually send proper documentation over to the bank, and they sign a grant deed in lieu of foreclosure over to the bank, and the banks love it as well. And that's all per Davis Sterling as well. This could be done. It's just a matter of the board. And I told Thor myself several times, particularly for people who own multiple houses, don't even think about it. Foreclose immediately, because it's not fair to people that own just one home and pay their dues every year. And so this is one of the things. I think if we give her the proper support and proper encouragement, yes, we can clean this mess up.
This is not exactly a news flash, but not a single person up here enjoys the park losing money. That's supposed to be a joke. I hear, but nobody enjoys the park losing money, but there are legal processes that have to be followed, and that would be what I would support to the fullest extent.
Growing up, I worked in a family small business, and I worked my way up from the warehouse all the way to accounts payable and receivables. I have had a lot of experience in collection, and I don't believe the collection agency that we have is working for us right now. So one of the things that I would like to see us do is look for one that takes a little better action towards our homeowners before foreclosure, so we can actually see the money before the long process, before we have to go through all of the ordeal of foreclosure. So I would actually really like for this board to look for a better collection agency.
Do we have an estimate on what the percentage is of owned lots with homes compared to non-home lots that are in arrears?
Oh, in arrears?
1,900
Personally, no, but let's go to the experts here. Does anyone here, do you follow the question? The lot owners would be mostly out-of-town people, is I think where you're going. Al?
Leighton.
No, we don't have that information. Yeah, Leighton, yes. This is Leighton Gillette. He is the ECC inspector.
Over the 2,250 odd lots here, I think the residencies is somewhere around 1860 to 1870 is what the actual residency is. So you can do the percentage. Okay?
But the dues
are all the same.
But who's whacking? I think the question was, is it homeowners or lot owners that are, like, people that bought lots years ago, that would just roll them off and don't pay for them anymore. There's
Lot
probably
owner.
a bunch of lots that are owned, but they aren't paying their dues.
Lot owner equals homeowner. Lot owner, homeowner, same thing.
Well, I know, but people don't live here.
Doesn't matter.
They don't give a shit.
Doesn't matter, they still have to pay their assessment.
Okay, let's get to the questions for the candidates. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Anybody would specifically address it, but the fact is that I was in here 3 years ago, and I was looking at some of the substantial losses that we have on the amenities, the amount of money it takes to keep a lot of these amenities going. I use a few of them as very few. I don't play golf, I don't play tennis or any of these things. I don't mind paying for the amenities. However, what I've seen here is a deterioration in the roads. I understand our water system is kind of going down the tubes. We're going to have a substantial amount of money that is my understanding that is going to have to be put forward in the near future. So I want to know from the board is, are you willing to go and do whatever is necessary in regard to the amenities?
Of course.
To make sure that we have the infrastructure here, things like the roads, the water system, things of that nature, as opposed to, some of the things that I like to do in the park.
Well, the brief answer is yes. The answer to your thing about the water company going downhill that's not true at all.
I'm just saying a general statement because I didn't.
Okay.
Alluded to that earlier.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But I do know.
They didn't know what they were talking about.
We know about the roads. We see the roads are deteriorating. We see that some of these other things are going to be servicing. We have no reserve. My understanding of very little reserve.
That's not true either.
Take care of these things. Yet we continue to
We
throw
do
money
that.
into amenities. And I understand. I'm told, well, the amenities are what enhance the property value. I don't really believe that.
One of the biggest problems with gossip.
Here.
Can we go home?
That being said, what I'd like to see from the board is fiscal responsibility where if you've got to come back for the people that use the amenities would pay more in lieu of getting everybody else in here up here to subsidize some of these amenities.
Well, just very briefly, and it's not my thing, but to answer your questions, which I think everyone's interested in. We brought in David Pohl because David's reputation not only is an excellent chef, but he's a terrific manager. And David's marching orders are cut those losses down, and we'll give you a percentage of what you save us. Number two, we have a new general manager who's skilled in the same kind of things. Number three, we have raised the fees at Mike, where the horses are, what do you call it, the equestrian center. We've raised the fees at the golf course. Obviously, we raised the homeowner dues. That money isn't to throw a Christmas party for us. It's to try and piece back together these amenities.
My question too is why wasn't this done a long time ago with the other existing fields?
Yeah. Al?
Go straight there. It's candidates night.
Let's go ahead and take it.
Dennis?
Would you like a response, sir? Would you like a response from the candidates, sir?
We have a candidate.
Infrastructure is first and foremost. We have to make sure our roads are good so we can get from point A to point B. Our amenities have to be secondary. So if there's something with our infrastructure that isn't right, obviously that's where our money should go first. So as a board member, that would be the priority. Do I want our amenities to be successful? Absolutely. But yes, our infrastructure is the most important thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yep.
Some of the blame, most of the blame, needs to be placed on the people that built this place 45 years ago. They put the water lines on top of rock, paved over it, and now then today we're having to fix roads and water lines that have been ruined by everything from traffic to earthquakes. That's where one of the problems with the roads is concerned. Again, I say nobody up here enjoys losing money, and we didn't enjoy having to try to keep pace with the cost of living in the dues increase.
Thank you, Brian. Are you taking that home? This is why we have elections and candidates nights, so that you can get to meet the various candidates, see their background and skills and their direction. They are fine people. It's not easy doing this. Believe me, I've got a couple of weeks of experience on the board. We have tried forever to do the best we can, and I'm sure these people will too. Progress is being made. We are doing well. There was a question here earlier about the park being in desperate financial shape. No, it's not. It ain't as good as we'd like it, but it is not in desperate financial shape by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, Neil?
I'd like to ask a question to all the candidates and all the crowd. Has anybody ever entertained the idea of putting gates back in as a private community?
No. Dennis?
Thank you. I've been standing up here. I feel like a candidate again. I own two properties here in Canyon Lake, and for those who know me, I have a significant government and financial background. And I'm frightened because when you lose a bookkeeper, general manager, and have problems with an auditing firm, that's frightening from my background in training, both in finance and government. And it's not something to be brushed off. And the question I have, and it deals with your role as a director, which is supervision. During your term, and this is, since I own 2 pieces of property, I get 2 questions, I guess. Existing board member, during your time as a representative of the property owners, do you believe that you and your fellow directors and officers properly supervise the financial compliance of the association? Explain your actions and the result.
Before they answer, let me say, if you're afraid because of the removal of a general manager and a bookkeeper and whatever else, if we'd have kept them, you'd have been petrified.
Very true. Oh no, I have a different question for potential board members. This is for existing board members.
Well,
no, I think this is existing board members. Well, let me give you the question for a potential board member.
Let's answer the first one.
Okay, let's answer the first one. Existing board members.
I've been a board member since February. Not a long time. However, since I've been on the board, let's look at what's happened. We've replaced the general manager who wasn't doing his job. We replaced office managers that wasn't doing their job. We had a very bad accounting report, and now we have a brand new bookkeeper, and we're looking at new accountants. So you're absolutely right. There are things that we should have been doing, and we immediately started taking action. That's just since February. Okay, and I certainly believe from now on it's even going to be more things.
One thing you cannot do as
We're still answering his question.
I'm not asking a question. I'm saying you can't supervise the office. Only the general manager can do that.
Not if you read the rules, it is supervision.
Well, I'm not going to get into, the bottom line, the board has a responsibility. I agree with you. And as the board members, I think we've taken that responsibility very seriously, and we've done some very serious things to change.
You got a couple more. I just have one more question.
I could almost just say ditto to what Rick has said, with one caveat. It hasn't happened just because he came on the board in February. But it has happened in a very short amount of time. The things that have happened were happening because we were getting insufficient information as a board from the staff that we had hired and trusted. Perhaps incorrectly, but we did. So consequently, we made some mistakes. As I said earlier, the best thing I can say right now is full steam ahead with our new GM, and whoever gets elected on the board following his leadership, because that's what we're going to be appointing him to do, and he will be responsible to us, and the rest of the managers and employees will be responsible to him.
Okay, for
that was straight out of the board handbook. It apparently is true that our bylaws and David Sterling has a slight different interpretation of that, so that the board does supervise.
The board supervises. And there are liability in terms of your fiduciary responsibility. Believe me, I understand it. Potential board members. Oh, you're going to answer for John?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Although John is a board member now, I'll still answer for him. I came aboard, and John and I have been friends ever since I came aboard last year. Mic's off? Is that better? Everybody, when I came aboard, everybody says, here comes Mike Radley, he's going to close all the damn amenities. That's what they said. I didn't close any of them. I'm all for amenities. Okay? I am all for accountability, and we did not have it with our current staff. And we got rid of the current staff, and now we have a good staff. So I'm sorry if all this stuff got done before we got here. It's not going to get done anymore. I can tell you that.
Okay, for a potential board member, what would you do as a representative of us to ensure supervision and audited compliance to protect the financial integrity of the association? Explain your potential actions and commitment.
I'm a current member of the Finance Committee, and as such, I'm aware of, we have gone out to bid for our audit or review. We've gone out for our new auditor. We're asking whoever answers our bids to also audit on a monthly or quarterly review of our financials. I will also be doing that. I'm working as a volunteer. Monthly, I will be reviewing financial statements. Our auditor will review them monthly until they're happy, and then they'll change it to quarterly or semi-annual based on the progress of the accounting department. Al, I don't know, did you recommend that, or was it the auditor? Okay, thank you, Al. That was an excellent recommendation. So I would like to proceed with internal audit. I am a trained auditor. I would like to review the financial statements monthly. I did it before, but I had a management team that would not allow my comments and recommendations to be noted. Okay, so I will continue now with the new management. They'll be very happy to have this extra help. So that's what I intend to do.
Who would like to have the last question?
Wait a minute. You know, Bob, this poor lady's been standing.
We're down to about 8 last questions.
Here was to ask.
Yes, young lady.
If you haven't asked before, how's that? You.
Hello? Yeah, it works. You turn it on, it works.
Carol Moore, lot 1834. Carol Moore, lot 1834. And this is sort of in conjunction with what we were talking about. And each of you has said you want to be more transparent, which is what we all need, because we don't find out anything until it's all over with. And even then, we still don't find out. So tell me, not generally, not in general terms, specifically, what are you going to do to make it more transparent for all of us who want this information?
We're going to have board meetings that we'll invite the public to come to.
Yeah, that's the first thing.
You don't say anything at the board meetings half the time. I mean, when we ask a specific question, for example, the financials, they're really important. That's the most important thing here. How, you say you're going to do an audit. Maybe. You'd like to have an audit done monthly.
I will look at the financials every month with people who are interested in correcting them if they're in error.
And how do we get...
She's only been able to be heard by you. If she's going to answer, she needs to answer so everybody can hear.
Okay. What I offered was I would take the financials, which I have been doing for the last 3 years, and I review those financials and I make notes on those financials. If I am a board member, I will give you a profit and loss, the old-fashioned way, where the money came from, where the money went, and how much is left over. Not a cash flow, but an income and expense statement in a format that you can understand. On the internet.
As an individual board member, I can't do anything. Neither can any of these people. We're going to have a majority of at least 4 people. But one thing I would like to see from the new general manager is a report made of all the outside contractors that we use. How was our insurance company chosen? How many others were contacted? How was our legal service chosen? How many others did we talk to? What services do we get for the price? Who supplies the restaurant items and the bar items? And how do we know that we're getting the best quality for the lowest price? And I think that would go a long ways towards making things more open. With all the controversy about the rec center, nobody asked the question of what company we used to lease that building from. Who's the owner of the company? Is it possible they were related to somebody on the board, or somebody in the office, or the former general manager? How many other companies were contacted to see what their prices were? And I think that's going to be one of the duties of the new general manager. Like, you don't have enough to do already, but okay.
Some of the steps that I would take as a board member to make sure that we are accountable and transparent in what we do is we would use the technology that we have. We have emails that can go out. We have Facebook. We have social media. We have all kinds of ways we have our board meetings that need to be made more public. We need to have we can post things in the local paper, the Yelp. We have different venues to post things and to let the community know. And everything that this board does needs to be where you can see it. So I personally, one of the goals I would do is try to be on that communications committee, so that way we make sure that you guys get to know everything. Have a place for question and answers. Have a place for you to drop questions in that we respond. There's emails you can do. Our website can have all kinds of information and different links. So communication is absolutely key to transparency.
Just a couple more answers, and then you have another question. I have to agree, Veronica is absolutely correct. The question, I believe, was a communication question. And we can't go to every door and hand you a paper that says, this is what we did last night. The responsibility does fall on your part. You have to make an attempt to find out. Now, we have the several different things that she mentioned. Those put the information out there, but short of a gun to your head and saying report for the board meeting on the third Tuesday of every month, how are we going to get your attention?
Just for the record, in the few months I've been on the board, I have used the list server daily. In fact, today it was my idea to put the fact that we had a new GM and wanted everybody to get that information today. It was also, I've used the website before. I put a lot of information on the website. Could we put financials? Yes, we've already put financials on the website. Should we do more? I agree. We should always do more, not less. So I absolutely love using the new technology. I'm actually technology aware. I am an engineer, so I understand. Anything we could do stream would be better.
Raise my hand didn't do any good, so I just come up front. I've been raising my hand all night. My name is Pete Stearns. My wife and I's owned property here since '77. We paid dues since '77. So I think I have a right to make a comment. We moved here in 2007. We built a home here in 2007. Had a choice of lots up on North Dome, just a path. We had 15 minutes to go up on North Dome and pick out the lot we wanted. Anyway, that's enough of that. If you're in Cummins and you, Brian, I don't even pick on you just individually, but John was, in other words, the Cummins been on the board. Yes. I haven't heard, and I don't expect you to get on your knees and apologize, but I haven't heard anything said from people who's been on the board. We're sorry for the mess we got in. Do we take responsibility? Do you take any responsibility for what happened?
I think I did.
You think you did?
We got information and we made mistakes. I will say, I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's what I needed to hear. And like I say, John, I was going to ask the same thing. But another responsibility and any remorse, you know, when a person makes a mistake and like you wasted I'm not singling you out, but the association has lost my money. My money. I don't mean that way. I'm sorry. Our money. I'm sorry. I misworded that. I mean our money. But in other words, all that money gone, there ought to be some, and there is some house cleaning. And I could stand here all night asking you questions, and I'm not going to do that because I'm full of questions. So that's all I have to say. I just hadn't heard any apology or what I thought was an apology or taking responsibility of what's happened. But we're going to get this thing straightened out because, and you say, where have you been all these years? I was working until I retired just a few years ago to pay my dues every month, which I've done since '77, and that's why. And thinking that the people who volunteered for this job were doing their job. I take it for granted they were doing their job. Well, they weren't. Okay, so we got to pay more attention to what's going on. And Al's going to reply to me. Go ahead.
There is an ongoing sheriff's investigation going on now that the board and I put together.
Would you say that again?
I guess my 5 minutes. Anyway, I've got my ear. I'm like a bird dog now. I've got my ears up. So there's going to be some accounting to all of us. And they say, how you know there's no sentence? We need. I shouldn't get going here. We need every month as homeowners and paying our dues. These guys that aren't paying them, don't worry about those guys. But us guys paying our dues, we should know every penny that's brought in and every penny that's spent out. How hard is that? To know what's brought in and what's spent out. That's not hard. That's simple. I'm a dumb archie, but I can figure that out. Thank you.
I've got a very quick question. I've attended, it was the last 24 out of 25 board meetings and agenda meetings. My question is the format that we have for the agenda meeting and the board meeting does not require the board to make any kind of comments or answers to us to us people in the park. Do you believe that system works?
Actually, when the members have their 3 minutes to ask a question,
give a statement.
Give a statement.
Give a statement.
Or make a comment. Sometimes a response, the way it's said is almost important as what's said. And the board, when they say, we don't have to answer your questions or we don't have to respond, makes it sound like they're politicians that don't care once they're elected. But from what I've read of the Davis-Sterling Act, there's a provision that said board members may not comment on any item that's not on the agenda. But there's an exception. It says they may briefly respond and answer questions. But briefly is pretty vague, and I think if members have 3 minutes, then the board members should have 1 minute to respond. You might not like the answer you get, and if I were on the board, a lot of my answers would be at the time, I don't know. If that were the case, I'd try to find the answer and have it brought up at the next meeting.
Phil, the question I have is, at the agenda meeting, which I have attended, you cannot get the board, if you have a question to ask the board at the upcoming meeting, there is no feedback at that agenda meeting to tell me whether I will get that item as part on the agenda.
Roger, you've never asked me a question I haven't answered.
You know, time out. You guys are missing a point here. By Davis Sterling, if you have an agenda item at a board meeting, they have to post it 96 hours. Otherwise, they are in jeopardy of violation of Davis Sterling. So if you want to get something on that meeting, and I've been attending agenda meetings for 9 years, I see 2, 3 people at them. You need to start going to those agenda meetings and then put your question, and you can hold their feet to the fire. But if they get into a discussion with you, they're jeopardizing their integrity and they can be in trouble.
That is correct.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Or something, because I want to say, I've been to agenda meetings, they're the biggest waste of time I could ever imagine. I have been in government, municipal government, and homeowners association. I have never seen an agenda meeting. I have cities, 75,000 people. They meet once a month, and they have committees, and they have a manager who sets an agenda. This is, I can't believe the waste of time and money.
Let me say something.
The agenda meeting is for one thing and one thing only. For you people who want to say something at the regular open board meeting, you have to get it on the agenda. Now, I don't like all these meetings, and you can sit there and cry all you want to, but it don't matter to me what you think about that, because we do it the right way. And you can bring your butt down there.
Do not do it the right way.
Well, we do it the right way. We give you the opportunity to come down there.
I'll be glad to do it.
But bring your butt down there and get on the board meeting again. Get on the agenda. If you got something to say it. And we will answer your questions.
I believe there's a question in the audience for the candidates. Is there a question, sir?
My biggest concern, and the reason I came to this meeting today, is I don't trust the board. And the only way that trust is going to be restored for me, as a member who pays dues, lived in the park for 9 years, is if there is transparency and there is communication. Those two things have to be there. If we are not transparent and we fail at communication so badly, it is atrocious. The level of communication that we get from the board. It is inane, it is useless, and it's mostly smoke. I don't understand it. I'm an educated guy, and I don't understand what the hell you're talking about. Because it's just made up. I've been to meetings. I haven't been to as many as I should, and I apologize. Part of it is because, honestly, the time you have meetings is not a time I can make it. If I could attend via internet, I would totally be there. I wasn't able to come to the sheriff's debrief of the fire thing, but I watched it online while my family did what they had to do. I sat and watched it online. I can participate that way. I have to get transparency and I have to get communication. Without those two things, I don't think you can restore the trust that we need to have in you again.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. We do have a trust issue. We do have a communication issue. But the other thing that we need to do in order to create that trust is, I spoke already on how I would work on getting our communication better. But the other thing is community involvement. If you are in there working on a committee, you're going to know what's going on. There have been members of this community that have requested to be on committees and have been denied and or ignored. So these people want to be involved, and they're not being allowed. So we have to, as a board, be allowed to bring the community in. That is something that I completely plan on doing.
If we were to try to answer questions at the agenda meeting, that would amount to 2 board meetings a month. We only have 1 board meeting, and the first meeting on the second Tuesday of every month is to find items we're going to discuss at the board meeting on the third Tuesday. So no, we don't talk about the issues on the agenda night. We can't. But we can list them. So if you bring an item to be put on the agenda, we'll get it on the agenda. I believe we've been pretty good about that. If you present something more than just a verbal thing. Put it on paper and turn it in, and it'll get on the agenda.
All you people that think you know how to run things, I don't see your name on the paper to run. If you think you can do it better, then get your butts out and run and get on the board.
Any more questions?
Any serious questions?
I'm in need of getting sleep.
I'm sorry, what was the
I'm
question?
sorry.
Sorry, folks. That question wasn't directed to you. I never got an answer to my original question. And it's all right. I don't expect one at this point.
You have a question?
I just had one more question as to, as a former rec center committee person in the old days when we built the place and we used the recycling funds to fund everything, we manned the snack shack with volunteers, my children, myself, our family, we all did the recycling, we did all that. Last time I took my recyclables up, the board members were standing out there because I understood that who was in charge of it quit. And who was in charge of the after-school program quit, resigned. You want to have a community-based effort. That rec center is the epitome of a community-based effort. It was built by Gary Hughes with volunteers, no money from the board. He raised it all by recycling, and we all put in the labor to build that place 20 years ago before the younger generation took over. Now, if you really are intent on having a community after-school program, then the younger parents need to get out there with their kids and put in the time and effort like we did, and you can maintain it. That's my comment. Not a question. It's not to be supported by the association. Be supported by the people who live within the service.
Diane?
Yeah, I have a question. I have a lot of questions of Veronica, but when we're talking about transparency here.
Get a mic so everybody can hear. Who are you? Where do you live?
Is this working?
Yes.
Okay. Diane McDonough, lot 1745. And I have a question. Everybody's talking about transparency and how great it is. After the daycare center was closed down, Veronica and I think Lindsay started a website or whatever you call it, Save Yosemite Lakes Park, which was closed. So you had to be approved to participate, read what was being said about the board members, and there's plenty of lousy stuff that was being said about the board members. In the interest of transparency, why was your website, why was that, whatever you call it, why was it closed?
First off, it was not my website, but I will respond to the fact that when you have a Facebook page, just so you understand, if you leave it open, you're going to have people from New York and Georgia and Florida and all these places. So, but it is not my site, so that is why it was closed.
Time out. Come on, we don't want this reduced to a brawl.
It's not my site.
Well, open to everybody at the park would have been nice because the picture shows what you wanted on it. So,
I did not.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think I want to give you a quote that is one of my favorites. My wife will beat the you-know-what out of me after I do this, and then we're going to close this. In the 30s, H.L. Mencken, who was the editor of the New York Times newspaper, was entertaining a group of political dignitaries from Europe. And he said to them, and this still rings true to today, he said, "Keep this in mind, gentlemen, in America, there is no problem, no matter how complicated, that doesn't have a simple solution that's wrong." So we have to be careful of these kinds of things. Now, I think we've had enough. I don't want to cut meetings off. I get upset myself when that happens. But this was supposed to be 1 hour for the, roughly an hour for the candidates. It's now gone past 2.5 hours. So are you working your way up to ask a question?
Maybe you can answer. I just wanted to clarify. It does not speak to the candidates, but from what I was hearing as far as transparency toward the...
Here.
And who are you and where do you live?
Never mind. You don't need that.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm Emily, and I live in the park. We're new to the park, and so I'm still trying to figure out what's going on.
Hold it close and stop it.
trying to figure out what's going on. So I'm trying to understand if for the agenda meeting, we would go to that and put something on the agenda and for the meeting, and then would the board members then be able to respond to that
Yes.
at the board meeting?
Meeting 1 week later.
So the board members would be able to respond to that?
Yes.
Be on the agenda for that purpose.
Okay, if it's on the agenda though, does that mean that the board members then would be required to respond to questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, one other issue probably wasn't made clear if you're new. A lot of information goes out on what they call a list server, which is essentially an email service. So people that are saying we're not getting information, I hope everybody's on the list server. If you're not, you can talk to Lori in the front office. There's also a Yosemite Lakes Park webpage as well. Information gets placed on there, but most serious information does get put on the list server. I know I've used it as a board member since February a lot to make sure that goes.
Ms.
things go
Farron,
out.
Ms. Farron, you have the last question.
Unfortunately, we are all very emotional. I mean, we all feel that we've all been stolen from recently. I mean, it's true, and I apologize for that. And it was candidates today. Can we just maybe have a 1-minute closing statement for each of the candidates so that we can hear your last word on your
May I go first, please, because I have to get up at 3:30 in the morning to catch a plane to Arkansas. So, 1 minute or less. I've already said what I believe in, what I've been involved in, and what I plan to do. I believe in transparency, and I believe in financial accountability. Thank you. Vote for Brian Smith.
I would like to say that I know some of you people. I've talked to you. And even if you don't vote for me, we'll still be friends. But some of you would probably be better candidates than anybody that's running, based on your background, your education, your experience. And I'm really surprised that we only have 3 people running, along with the people that are running for re-election. Based on all the complaints I heard at the meetings and all the anger, I was sure there would be more people up here. But regardless of who you vote for or who's elected, stay active, stay involved, and keep a close watch on the board. That's all. Thank you.
Go ahead, Felicia. I don't want to jump in. Go ahead.
I'll speak for John Louch. I'll speak for John Louch instead of myself because John probably has a better way of saying it. We have tried our best since I've been on the board since last year. We've tried our best to find the problems and correct the problems. Some of the problems were so substantial we had to terminate people. They weren't doing their job. We should have known 2 years ago that spa was bad, but we didn't. Somebody didn't tell us. Now, I as a board member cannot go and check that spa once a week myself and go to the stables and go to the golf course and check every sprinkler head. So we have to rely on staff to do that for us. So I'm only hoping that you folks give us a break, a little bit of a break. We have made some drastic changes. We fired a general manager. Well, he retired because he was going to be fired. So we have fired an amenities manager who ran it in the ground, didn't tell us about the spa. And we have lost an accountant who, unfortunately, her previous employer in the federal government are taking her to court on embezzlement. So we've gotten rid of some of the pretty bad people in this park, and we've got some pretty darn good people. We had 15 candidates for GM. Now, we had 6 candidates that were all perfectly qualified. We narrowed it down to 1. His name is Bob Savello. And he's going to do a heck of a good job for us. Yeah, I guarantee you, when he gets up, and it won't be Michael Naveau talking, I'll get back to you.
First off, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming. This means that you care. It means that you care about our community and that you care about what's happening in our association. What I would like to see happen in this community is to keep you involved, keep you informed, keep everything transparent, and communicate. We need you. Those people that have qualifications, we need you to be a part of this. That's what this association is going to do to grow. So we want you to be a part of this just as much as we want to be a part of it. So that's my encouragement. Keep coming to these meetings. Come to the agenda meetings tomorrow. Come to the board meetings. Be a part of a committee. That's one of my major goals, to keep us communicating and to keep the trust and to keep us all involved. Thank you.
Alicia? No, not quite last.
Oh, you want to be last. He wants to be last.
Go ahead.
I don't care. I like consensus. I'm Felicia Vernon Chansey, CPA. I am married to a pterodactyl golfer, Ken Chansey. We have collectively 7 sons and 12 grandchildren. I think I represent the park all over the place. Our family has a strong personal, spiritual, and financial foundation. I would like to do that for the association. Is it in there? You take it.
I'll probably drop it. Okay, I guess I'm the last one tonight. Yes, I believe in transparency. I believe in it. I've been working it since February. We even had a little bit of discussion when we got the BPM audit reports, and there were a few people, and some of them are not here tonight, that wanted to bury that. I guarantee I did not. I believe in transparency, good or bad. I share it with you, okay? You may not like what I'm telling you, but I try to tell you what's actually happened, and I've tried that very, very hard since I've been here since February, and I will continue if you vote for me. And again, I try to use the web list server. I try to use the web page. Streaming, I think, is a heck of a great idea. I like that a lot. I think anything we can do to make somebody's life easier, I'm all for it. And I will continue doing that. And I won't be making my life easy because I'll continue working on the board if you elect me. Thank you very much for coming. Bye now.